Okay, Assalamualaikum. So now we will continue for the next chapter, chapter 11, Power and Politics. Okay. So at the end of this chapter, okay, at the end of this chapter, at least students should get these 7 objectives. Okay. Right. So first, you know what is the difference between leadership and power. Okay. And then you're able to explain what is the 3 bases of formal power and 2 bases of the personal power. Okay, so we have formal power and personal power, right? And then you can explain the role of dependence in power relations, and then you can identify the power or influence tactics and their contingency. Okay, the next is what is the causes? Okay, causes and consequences of abuse of power. Okay, and you can describe how politics works in organization. And the last one is you can identify the causes, consequences, and ethics of political behavior. Right? Okay, so at least you should get these 7 objectives. Okay, so what is the power? Okay, in organizational behavior, okay, in OB, when we say power in organization, it refers, okay, to the capacity that A has to influence the behavior of B. Okay, so A, there's someone we refer as A, has influenced the behavior of B so that B acts in accordance to with A's wishes. Okay, right? So they're able to influence the behavior of B. Okay, so that means that A have a power over B. Okay, all right. So if someone have a power but not use it, okay, right? So that is a capacity or potential of power. Okay, they have they're able to influence but they do not use it. So there is only capacity or potential for power. Okay, right? So the most important aspect of power is that it is a function of dependence. Okay, right? So the greater B's dependence on A, the greater A's power in the relationship. Okay, so more B dependence to A, so A have more power over B. Okay, so dependence, okay, in turn is based on alternative that B perceive and the importance B places on the alternatives that A control. Okay, right? So means that if a person can have a power over you only if he or she controls some things that you desire. Okay, so someone else have overpower us means that that person can control some things that we desire, right? Okay, example, okay, if you want a college degree, have to pass a certain course to get it, okay, and the instructor is the only faculty member in the college teach that course, it means that this instructor has power over you because your alternative are highly limited. Okay, so you want to take that subject, okay, and you want to pass that subject. Okay, so and only one instructor teach or lecturer teach that subject, so means that instructor have more power over you. Okay, because you have no other alternative, right? Another example, if you attending college of on funds provided by your parents, okay, so means that your parents have power over you, okay, right? But if you have a job, you have part-time, you have another job and you can make your own income, so your parents' power may be reduced significantly, right? Okay. Okay, all right. So you see, right. So in about when we said a power, okay, in the OB, okay, we have a leader, okay. Usually we have a leader, okay, right. So usually leaders will use a power, okay, because leaders have a power, okay, over their members, okay. So leaders will use a power as a means of attaining a group goal, okay. Right. So how you want to relate these two terms, leadership and power, different? Okay, so we will compare based on these three things. Okay, all right. So power does not require a goal compatibility. Okay, okay, all right. So if power and doesn't require goal compatibility, okay, it's merely a dependence. Okay, right. But leadership, on the other hand, requires some congruence between the goals of the leader and those being led. Okay. Alright, so it's need goal compatibility between a leader and the ones being led. Okay. The second difference relates to the direction of influence. Okay. Based on the leadership research, it's focused on the downward influence on followers. Okay. Right. So leader, the influence is downward. Okay, from the top management to the uh, employees, right? So that's it. It will minimize the importance of lateral and upward influence patterns, right? So in the power research, it takes all factors into the consideration. Okay, right? So we go all direct. Okay, right? So but in the leadership, the power from is the downward, right? Okay, so third difference, okay, between the leadership and power, okay. Leadership, in the leadership research is always emphasized on style. Okay, we will see it in the next chapter. Okay, leadership, right? So usually leadership will always emphasize the style. Okay, and the leadership usually will seek to answer the questions such as how supportive should be a leader, how much decision making should be shared with the followers. Okay, in contrast, the research on power focus on tactics for gaining the compliance. Okay, right? So it's more focused on tactics. Okay, leadership concentrate on the individual leader's influence. Okay, while power acknowledge that group as well as individuals can use a power to control or other individuals or group. Okay, right. So that is the difference between the leadership and power. Okay, so bases of power, we have two types of bases of power, formal power and personal power. Okay, so formal power, we have three types, coercive power, reward power, legitimate power. Okay, personal power, we have expert power and referent power. Okay, let's see. Sorry. Okay, so formal power, coercive power, for formal power, okay, I will explain these three, okay. Formal is based on the individual's position in an organization, okay, right, so based on formal authority, okay. So coercive power is depends on the target's fear or negative result from failing to comply, okay, so coercive power. Instead, right, the example, okay, A has coercive power over B if A can dismiss, suspend or demote B, assuming that B values her job. Okay, so that means that A has a coercive power. Okay, if over B, if A can dismiss B from the job. Okay, right, so if A can assign B work activities B finds unpleasant or treat B in a manner B finds embarrassing, means that A possesses a coercive power over B, right? Okay, so usually, and also that coercive power comes also from the withholding key information. Okay, so people in an organization who have a data or knowledge that others need can make others dependent on them. Okay, so it means that they have a coercive power. Okay, so coercive power usually is come in a negative way. Okay, you can dismiss others from the job. You can you can give a negative impact to others, means that you have coercive power over your subordinates. Okay, all right. So the second one, reward power. Okay, this is the opposite of coercive power. Okay, which people comply this power with because it produced a positive benefits. Okay, someone who can distribute rewards that others view as valuable has a power over them. Okay, can distribute the rewards there, right? So this reward can be in terms of financial or non-financial. Okay, financial, you can control pay rates, you can raise the rate or give bonus. Okay, non-financial, including the recognition, promotions, interesting, can give the work assignment, friendly colleagues, and work shift. Okay, right. So that's a reward power, right? So legitimate power, last one is legitimate power is a okay, it's a formal authority, okay, to control and use the organizational resources based on the person's position in the organization. Okay, right? So because they have because they are manager, then they have power over you. Okay, so that is the legitimate power. Okay, alright. So it's a broader. This power is a broader than the power to coercive and reward. Okay, especially okay, members more accept the authority in the hierarchical position. Okay, all right. So that's three formal power. Okay, so the next one is a personal power based on expert power and referent power. Okay, because it comes from an individual's unique characteristic. Okay. Expertise and the respect and admiration of the others is based on personal power. Okay. Right, so expert power is influence wielded as a result of expertise, special skills, or knowledge that one person has. Okay, as a job becomes more specialized, we become dependent on experts to achieve goal. Okay, right. So example, we more depend or acknowledge the doctor that have expertise and hence they have the expert power. Okay, right? So most of us just follow our doctor's advice. Okay, because they are specialists in that area, right? Another example, computer specialist. Okay, we listen to the computer specialist, the advice. Okay, to how to take care of our computer. Tax accountant to prepare financial balance sheet whatsoever, okay, financial statement, right? Economists, industrial psychologists, and other. Okay, so that is the expert power because you are specialist in that area. Okay, so referent power is based on the identification with a person who has desirable resources or personal trait. Okay, that is referent because it's our personal trait. Okay. If I like, respect, admire you, you can exercise a power over me because I want to please you. Okay, right? So because of someone, a personality, we want to please that person, and we like that person. Okay, so means that that person has reference power over us. Okay, right? Okay, so that's why this is example reference power is like a celebrity. Okay, we some businessmen or small business are willing to pay more to the celebrities to do that, to review their products. Okay, because of they have a reference power, right? Okay, so which power are most effective? Okay, We have formal power, coercive, reward, legitimate, and 2 personal power, expert and reference. So which one are most important? Okay. So based on research, research suggests the personal sources of power are most effective. Okay, personal sources. Right. So both expert and the reference power are positively related to employee satisfaction with supervision. Right. And to their commitment, organizational commitment, and their performance. Okay, personal power based on the research, right? Okay, whereas the reward and legitimate power seem to be unrelated to this outcome. Okay, surprising. Means that even though someone has a reward power and also legitimate power, our managers cannot influence or don't have a power over their employees. Okay, but if they have an expert and reference power, so it's more related to the employee satisfaction. And okay, one source of formal power, coercive power, can be damaging. Okay, right? So the reference power can be a very powerful motivator. Okay, reference it can be motivator to others, right? Okay. Okay, so the most important aspect of power is the function, I said before, is the function of dependence. Okay, so now we will discuss how dependence can uh, uh, we will show more how dependence help to understand the degrees of power. Okay, right. So the first thing is the general. We will begin with the general postulate. Okay. Right? So the greater B's dependence on A, the more power A has over B. Okay? When you possess anything others require that you alone control, it will make them dependent on you, and therefore you gain a power over them. Okay? Right? So let's another one statement. Okay? Right? So, but if something is plentiful, okay, possessing is will not increase your power if you have more. But if we have only the resources is limited, okay, so others depend on you, so you have a power over others. Okay, alright. Okay, so therefore you can see that the more you can expand your own options, okay, the less power you place in the hand of others. Okay, so you have option, so the less power you have. Right? So, and this is why, okay, organizations keep develop a multiple suppliers, okay, rather than give their business to only one. Okay. Alright, so means that if they have more suppliers, so they don't depend, then this supplier don't have a power over the organization or manufacturer, right? Okay, what creates the dependence? Okay, okay, so dependence increase when the resource you control is important, scarce, and non-substitutable. Okay, non-substitute. Okay, right. So then it will create the dependence. Okay, so importance, if nobody wants what you have, it's not going to create a dependence. Okay, right? So scarcities, okay, so some things that only 1 or 2% have these scarcities, okay. So then it can increase the dependence in the you can have power over that. Okay, all right. Non-substitutability, okay, that the fewer viable substitute for resources, the more power a person can control. Okay, you cannot substitute that resources, so then you have more power. Okay, because you can control their resources, right? Okay, so this is a social network analysis. We use this tool as a you call it to do the analysis, social network analysis. Okay, it's a organizational sociogram. Okay, right. So within a social network or connection between people who share professional interests, each individual or group is called a node. Okay, so this is a node. Okay, or either individual or group. Okay. And the link between the nodes are called ties. Okay, so this is a ties. Okay, this is node and this might be individual or groups. Okay, so when nodes communicate or exchange resources frequently, they are said to have very strong ties. Okay, right? Very means they communicate frequently. Okay. And other nodes that are not engaged in direct communication with one another achieve resources flows through intermediary nodes. Okay, right. So in other words, okay, this explain. Okay, some nodes act as a brokers between otherwise unconnected nodes. Okay, so you can see here, means that customer service is not directly related to operations. So this person is intermediary. Okay, so it's an intermediary between the customer service and operation and project team. Okay, and also from finance, right? Okay. So this illustration. Okay, so this is like an informal version of organizational chart. Okay, so this illustration show like a informal organization chart. Okay, because the formal organization chart we show how authority is supposed to flow. Okay, but sociogram. Okay, so this is a sociogram. We show how resources really flow. Okay, in the organization, right? Okay, so influence tactic. Okay, we have 9 influence tactic. Okay, legitimacy, rational, persuasion, and then inspirational appeals, consultation, exchange, personal appeal, um, ingratiation, pressure, and coalitions. Okay. So legitimacy is relying on the authority position or saying that a request is in accordance with organizational policies or rules. Okay, legitimacy. Rational persuasion, presenting a logical arguments and factual evidence to demonstrate that a request is reasonable. Okay, you are able to persuade them using a rational arguments, okay, and logical arguments, right? So inspirational appeals, okay, it develop an emotional commitment by appealing to a target's value, needs, hopes, and expression. Okay, so you appeal using the appeals, okay, to influence others, right? So consultation, okay, increasing support by involving the target in deciding how to accomplish your plan. Okay, so that is consult your target, okay, how to accomplish. So you influence using um uh, support, give a support. Okay, so exchange, okay, reward the target, okay, reward the target with benefits or favors in exchange for acceding to a request. Okay, you exchange something. Okay, right? So personal appeals, right? Asking for compliance based on friendships or loyalty. Okay, using a personal influence. Right, so invitation, using a flattery, praise or friendly behavior prior to making a request. Okay, so you praise them using you be a very really friendly behavior, give a very friendly behavior, then you make a request. Okay, so pressure, okay, using a warnings, repeated demands and give a threats to target. Coalition, enlisting the aid or support to others to persuade the target that you agree. Okay, so that's a coalition. Right? Okay. So some tactics, we have 9 tactics. Okay, some tactics are more effective than others, right? So rational persuasion, inspirational appeals, and consultation tend to be the most effective. Okay, rational persuasion, inspirational appeals, and consultation. Okay, you can see that tend to be most effective, especially when the audience is highly interested in the outcomes of the decision process. Yeah. The pressure tactic tends to backfire, right? In the outcomes of backfire, and is typically the least effective of the 9. Okay, pressure tactics, right? We can increase the chance of success by using 2 or more tactics together or sequentially. Okay, as long as the choice of tactics are compatible, right? Right. So using the ingredation and legitimacy together can lessen the negative actions, but only when the audience does not really care about the outcome of a decision process or the policy is routine, right? Okay, so you want to combine, make sure it's a compatible and the situation is accepted, right? Okay. Right. So some influence tactics more effective compared to others depends on the direction of influence. Okay, and also it depends to the audience, right? Okay, so from this table, okay, we can see that right, so rational persuasion is the only tactic effective across the organizational level. Okay, you can see rational persuasion, so in all direction. Okay, upward influence, downward, and lateral. Okay. Right, so inspirational appeals work best as a downward influence tactic with subordinate. Okay, inspirational. Okay, when pressure works, it's generally downward only. Okay, personal appeals and coalition are most effective as a lateral influence. Okay. Other factors relating to the effectiveness of influence include the sequencing of tactics of a person's skill in using the tactics and the organizational culture. Okay, so in general, okay, you are more likely to be effective if you begin with softer tactics that rely on the personal power, such as personal, inspirational appeals, rational persuasion, and consultation. Okay, so if this fail, you can move to harder tactics, okay, such as exchange, coalitions, and pressure. Okay, which emphasize a formal power and will incur greater cost and risk. Okay, a single soft tactic is more effective than a single hard tactic, and combining 2 soft tactics or a soft tactic and rational persuasion is more effective than any single tactic or combination of hard tactics. Right? Okay, so it's better you use a soft tactics. Okay, more using. You can see here. Okay, in any direction is more use more soft tactics. Right. So this is a cultural. Sorry, this is a cultural. Okay, cultural preference for power tactics. Okay. Preference for power tactics is varies across the culture, right? So those from individualist countries tend to see power in personalized terms as a legitimate means of advance their personal ends. Okay, whereas those in the collectivist countries see power in a social terms and as a legitimate means of helping others. Okay, right? So they different between individual and collective. Okay, they see power to advance their personal needs. Okay, in individualistic country. However, in a collectivistic country, you can see that power, right? So in the social terms, means that you have a power is a legitimate to help the others, right? Okay, so apply when you want to apply the power practice, right? Right. So people, okay, so people differ in their political skill, okay, or the ability to influence others to attain their own objectives. Okay, so we have different individuals have a different political skill. Okay. Right. So the political skills are more effective users of all influence tactics. Okay, so these skills are more effective. Okay, leading to many positive outcomes in the workplace. Political skill. Okay, people who are politically skilled have higher self-efficacy, job satisfaction, work productivity, and career success. Okay, and they also are less likely to be a victims of workplace aggression, right? And these individuals are able to use their political skills in environment with low level of procedural and distributive justice. Right, so the culture in organization, okay, differ. They differ. They have a different culture within the organization. Okay? Some organizations have a warm, relaxed, and supportive culture, while others may have a formal and conservative uh, culture. Okay? Right? So some encourage the participation and consultation, some encourage reason, and still others rely on pressure. Okay? So for those who fit the culture of the organization, tend to obtain more influence. Okay, so for those can fit any organizational culture, they can they're able to obtain more influence. Okay, right. So specifically, extroverts tend to be more influential in team-oriented organizations, and highly conscientious people are more influential in organizations that value working alone on technical tasks. Okay, so extroverts better in the team-oriented organization, but highly conscientious people are better in the working alone, and usually a technical task. Okay, right. Okay, so how power affects the people? Okay, okay, so this is more important question. Okay, in the power. Okay, so does power corrupt? Okay, does power corrupt? Okay, right. So there is certainly evidence that there are corrupting aspect of power. Okay, because the power uh, leads people to place their own interests ahead of others' needs or goals. Why does this happen? Okay, because power are not only lead people to focus on their self-interest because they can, okay, but it liberates them to focus inward and thus come to place greater weight on their own aims and interests. Okay, so right, so because the power is not because they can do that. Okay, because not they can it, but they have something to aim. Okay, right. So power, okay, appears to lead individuals to objectify others. Okay, so they will see others as a tool to obtain their instrumental goals and see relationship as more peripheral. Okay, right. So the powerful people react especially negatively to any threats to their competence. Right. So for those given power are more likely to make a self-interested decision when faced with a moral hazard, such as when the hedge fund managers take more risk with other people's money because they are rewarded for gains, but less often punished for losses. Okay, right? So people in power are more willing to denigrate others, right? And power also leads to overconfident decision making, right? Okay, so this is the reason why powers can corrupt. Okay, right? Because yeah, more because mainly it's because they want to fulfill their own self-interest. Okay, want to get what they want, based on their aim and their aim and objective. Okay, so they will do everything. Okay, they will negatively react. They will do something so over. They make a decision based on their preference. Okay, and everything, right? Okay, sexual harassment, okay, also is an unequal power in the workplace, all right, also included in the abuse power, okay. Sexual harassment is defined as any unwanted activity of a sexual nature that affects individuals' employment or creates a hostile work environment, okay. Right, so any unwanted activity of a sexual nature, that is a sexual harassment. Okay. Okay, sexual harassment happens when a person encounters unwelcome sexual advances, requests for sexual favors, and other verbal or physical conduct of sexual nature on the job that disrupts work performance or that creates an intimidating, hostile, or offensive work environment. Okay. Right, so generally you can see that sexual harassment is more prevalent in a male-dominated society. Okay, so example, a study in Pakistan found that up to 93% of female workers are sexually harassed. Okay, in Singapore, up to 54% of workers, women and men, reported they were sexually harassed. Okay, so in Pakistan it's more female. Okay, but in Singapore, women and men both. Okay, both. Okay, alright. But in other country the percentage is quite low, but still is troubling. Okay, right. And also that sexual harassment more likely to occur when there are large power differential. Okay, differentials of power. Supervisor-employee that best characterize an unequal power relationship where formal power gives the supervisor the capacity to reward and coercive. Okay, right? So it can have occur, sexual harassment can occur. Yeah, right? So that manager has a responsibility to protect their employees. At the same time, they also need to protect themselves from their employees. Okay, right? So managers should okay. So it's quite the critical managers' role is they have to make sure the active policy. Okay, and this policy defines what constitutes sexual harassment, informs employees they can be fired for inappropriate behavior, and establish procedure for making complaint. Okay, reassure employees that they will not encounter retaliation if they file a complaint. Okay, investigate every complaint and include the legal human resource departments. Okay, when they have a complaint, right, you should investigate. Make sure offenders are disciplined or terminated. Okay, right? So, yeah, it's really, but this is sometimes it's not happening. Okay, set up in-house seminars to raise the employee awareness of the issues surrounding sexual harassment. Okay, so politics, because when the power, then when there is a power, then they will increase the political behavior. Right, so the political behavior in organization is the activity that are not required as part of individual's formal role. Okay, so this is not a formal role. Political behavior is not required as in a formal role. Okay, but that this can influence or attempt to influence the distribution of advantage and disadvantage within the organization. Okay, when someone has a behave politically, it's not a formal, but it can influence the distribution of advantages. Okay, alright. So political behavior is outside the specified job requirement. Okay, it requires some attempt to use the power basis. Okay, it includes the efforts to influence the goals, criteria, or processes used for decision making, political behavior. Okay, right. So the definition is quite broad. Okay, to include the varied political behavior such as withholding the key information from the decision makers, joining a coalition, whistleblowing, spreading rumors, leaking the confidential information to the media, exchanging favors with others for mutual benefit, and lobbying on behalf of or against a particular individual or decision alternative. Okay, so you can see, okay, from this explanation, political behavior is often a negative, but not always, right? Okay, so this is shows in the OB poll. Okay, the importance of organization. You can see that. From this poll, okay, more what we can see from this poll is that if they use politics, they can about 51% answer this poll said that they get ahead in the organization by using a politics, by using a political behavior. Okay, right. So these all the respondent. Okay, managers. Okay, they describe that politics as a necessary and believe that someone who never use politic behavior will have a hard time in organization. Okay, so it's politics is a necessary. Okay, so for those is don't use the political behavior, don't use any politic strategy, then we'll have a very hard time in organization. Okay, but why that politics exists in the organization? Okay, isn't it possible for organization to be politics free? Okay, but yes, it is possible, but very unlikely. Okay, because organizations have individuals and groups with different values, goals, and interests. Okay, this will set up the potential for conflict over the allocation of limited resources. Okay, such as budget, workspace, salary, and bonus pool. Okay, so because of the resources are limited, okay, so because these resources are limited, not everyone's interest can be satisfied. Okay, right? Because the resources for bonus is limited, increase in salary also limited, so not all can be satisfied. Okay, right? So and also more gains by one individual or group are often perceived as coming at the expense of others within the organization. Okay, right? So this will force the great competition among members for the organization's limited resources, right? And also that maybe be the most important factor leading to politics within the organization is the realization that most of the facts used to allocate limited resources are open to interpretation, right? Okay, that's why that's how they create the politics in organization. Okay, so this is the causes and the consequences of political behavior, all right, in organization, all right. So factors that contribute to political behavior, not all groups are equally, or organization are equally political. Okay, so in some organization, politicking is overt and rampant. Okay, while in others, politics plays a small role in influence the outcome. Okay, why is this variation? Okay, why the variation in a certain organization? Okay, based on the research and observation, they identify a number of factors that appear to encourage the political behavior. Some are individual characteristics, okay, derived from the qualities of the people employed by the organization, and others by the organizational culture of the internal environment. Okay, right. So this exhibit or this show illustrate how both individual, okay, so this is individual factor, and organizational factors can increase the political behavior and provide the favorable outcomes, okay, increase the reward and averted the punishment for individuals and group in the organization, right? So this will lead to this outcome. Okay, so this one lead to the political behavior from the low behavior to high, and we have the favorable outcome. Right, so individual factors, okay, researchers identify a certain personality traits, needs, and other factors relate to the political behavior. Okay, in terms of traits, we find that employees who are high self-monitors, possesses an internal locus of control, and have a high need for power are more likely to engage in political behavior. Okay, the high self-monitor is more sensitive to social cues, exhibit the higher levels of social conformity. Okay, conformity. Okay, means that high self-monitor they need social conformity, so conformity from others. Okay, from others, right? So this one is more, this person is more likely to skill in political behavior compared to the low self-monitor. Okay, because they high self-monitor, they believe that they can control the environment. Okay, individuals with the internal locus of control are more prone to take a proactive stance and attempt to manipulate the situation in their favor. Okay, Machiavellianism personality, the characterized by the will to manipulate and the desire for power, right? So this is consistent with using politics as a means to further the personal interest. Right? Individuals' investment in the organization and perceive alternative influence perceive alternative influence in the degree to which he or she will pursue the illegitimate means of political actions. The more person expects increased future benefits from the organization, and the more that person has to lose if forced out, the less likely he or she is to use illegitimate means. Okay, and conversely, the more alternate job opportunities an individual has due to a favorable job market, possession of scarce skill or knowledge, prominent reputation, or influential contacts outside the organization, the more likely the person is to employ politics, right? So an individual with low expectation of success from political means is unlikely to use them. Okay, low expectation of success, so they will not use the political tactics. Okay, right. So high expectation from such measures are most likely to be province of both experienced and powerful individuals with polished political skills and inexperience. Right. Okay, so for those who expect more to their job and they have expectation, so the more they will more they will behave in a political way, right? um, okay, someone the individual, okay, they behave like that because they are better in that way, okay, compared to if they don't play the political, right? So organizational factor, okay. Right, so based on the research, the evidence show that the evidence strongly suggests that certain situations and cultures will promote the politics, specifically when the organization resources are declining, okay, when the existing pattern of resources is changing, okay, and when there is an opportunity for promotions, politicking is more likely to surface. Right? So when the resources are reduced, people might engage in political action to safeguard what they have. And also any changes, okay, especially those implying a significant reallocation of resources within the organization are likely to stimulate conflict and increase politicking. Cultures are characterized by low trust, role ambiguity, unclear performance evaluation system, zero-sum reward policy, okay, or win-lose policy, democratic decision making, high pressure for performance, and self-serving senior managers will also create the breeding grounds for politics. Yeah. Right, so this is all the factors that increase the politicking behavior. Okay, but it will have the favorable outcome for their self, right? Okay, so how people respond to organizational politics. Okay, some people, for most people who have modest political skills or are unwilling to play the politic games, outcomes tends to in negative way. Okay, right. So this diagram show this situation. Okay, for those who have modest political skill. Okay, alright. They will decrease their job satisfaction, increase the anxiety and stress, increase the turnover, and also can reduce the performance. Okay. However, the evidence, strong evidence, indicates that perception of organization, okay, perception of organizational politics are negatively related to job satisfaction. Okay, so politics may lead to self-reported declines in employees' performance. Perhaps maybe because employees perceive political environments to be unfair. Okay, so which will demotivate them. Okay, so and also not surprisingly, when politicking becomes too much to handle, it can lead the employees to quit from the job. Okay. So there's some qualifiers. Okay. The first one is the politic performance relationship. Okay, so it appears to be moderate. Politics performer relationships appears to be moderate by an individual's understanding of the how and why of organizational politics. Okay, so researchers have noted through one statement: an individual who has a clear understanding of who is responsible for making a decision and why they were selected to be the decision makers would have a better understanding of how and why things happen the way they do than someone who does not understand the decision making process in the organization. Okay? Right, so when both politics and understanding are high, performance is likely to increase because these individuals see political activity as an opportunity. Okay, so this is consistent with what you expect for individuals with well-honed political skills. Okay, but when the understanding is low, individuals are more likely to see politics as a threat, which can have a negative effect on job performance. Okay, so so for those who understand, or for those who really understand that um, who is responsible to make a decision and why they were selected to as a decision maker, that person as a decision maker, and why they understand everything. Okay, more increase the politicking behavior. Okay, compared to those who don't understand. Yeah. Right. So, and second, the political behavior at work, okay, moderates the effect of ethical leadership. Okay. Once the study found that male employees were more responsive to ethical leadership and showed the most citizenship behavior when the levels of both politics and ethical leadership were high. Women, on the other hand, appeared most likely to engage in citizenship behavior when the environment was consistently ethical and apolitical. Right. So the third one, when employees see politics as a threat, okay, this is when they see a threat. They we often respond with the defensive behavior. Okay, so they react and protect behavior to avoid the exchange, avoid blame or change. Okay, avoid action, avoid blame or avoid change. Okay, right. And in short run, employees may find that defensiveness protects their self-interest. Okay, but in the long run, it wears them down. Okay, so for those who have this defensive behavior, okay, they will avoid action. Okay, so this is the action. Okay, right. So they conforming. Okay, consistently said that the rules is clearly state you have to do something like this. Okay, this is the way we always done it. Okay, right. So bypassing, transfer the task, responsibility, the task for others or decision to others. Okay, playing dumb, okay, avoiding an unwanted task by falsely pleading or show the inability. Right, so stretching, they prolong a task so that he or she can be appears to be occupied. Okay, so maybe a task that can complete within 2 weeks, they complete for a 4-month job. Okay, stalling, appearing to be more or less supportive publicly, why doing a little or nothing privately. Okay, the behavior avoiding blame behavior, first bluffing. Alright, so rigorously recommending activity to project an image of competence and thoroughness, known as covering your rear. Okay, playing safe, evading the situation that may reflect unfavorable. Okay, so includes taking on only project with a high probability of success, having risky decision approved by superiors, qualifying expression of judgment, and taking neutral positions in conflict. Okay? Justifying developing the explanation that lessens one's responsibility for a negative outcome, and or apologizing to demonstrate remorse or both. Scapegoating place the blame for negative outcome on external factors that are not entirely blameworthy. Misrepresenting, manipulation of information by distortion, embellishment, deception, selective presentation, or obfuscation. Okay, so the last is avoid change. Okay, prevention, trying to prevent a threatening change from occurring. Self-protection, acting in ways to protect self-interest during a change by guarding information or other sources. So impression management, right? So people have an ongoing interest in how others perceive and evaluate them. Okay, so that is the impressive management. Okay, so we attempt to control the impression others form of them. Okay, who might engage in impression management? Okay, usually a person with high self monitor. Okay, so it's more engaged in the I am person with high self monitor. Okay, so for a person with a low self monitors tend to present the image of themselves that are consistent with their personality. Okay, regardless of the beneficial or detrimental effects for them. Right, so that is for low self monitors. Okay, so in contrast, the high self monitors are good at reading situation and molding their appearance and behavior to fit each situation. Okay, right. So okay, so people when engaged in impression management, they are sending a false message that might be true under circumstances. Okay. Maybe sometimes they have a sincerity, they effort with a sincerity. Okay. All right. So the effectiveness of the impression management, if you want to impress others, it depends to the situation. Okay, all right. So not all impression management need to taking yourself up. Okay, all right. So if you keep stating our own contributions, okay, to success, sometimes this one can create the more positive impression on others. Okay, if we keep mention our success or contributions, sometimes the impression change to other person. Okay, people will see other person, they impress more to the other person. Okay, right. So it depends to how you want to impress the others. Okay, so it depends to the situation. Right. So even though okay we are really there's a really no clear-cut ways to differentiate between ethical and unethical politicking, okay, but you should consider this question, okay, to consider when identify whether is an ethics or an ethical politics. Okay. So example first, what is the utility of engaging in politicking? Okay. Right. So sometimes we do it for little good reason. Okay. Example. Okay. Major League baseball player, okay, claim he played football at a university level, okay, when in fact he never did. Okay, so baseball player claim that he played football in university, in fact he never did. Okay, alright. So as a baseball player, he had a little to gain by pretending to have played football. Okay. Alright, so like lies, this is a lies. Okay, lies like this may be a rather rare and extremely example of impression management. Okay, so we distort the information to make a favorable impression. Okay, but uh that punya impression tu we just get the impression but we gain nothing. Okay, as others, okay, as a baseball player you get nothing but just to get the impression. Okay. Alright, so and also that one thing to keep in mind is whether it worth the risk or not. Okay, that behavior. Okay, so another issue to consider is whether the utility of engaging in the political behavior will balance out harm or potentially harm to others. Okay, complimenting a supervisor on her appearance in order to curry favor is probably much less harmful than grabbing a credit for a project that others deserve. Okay, right? So when you want to do something, it either will harm others or not. So if the potential to harm others, then this is considered as unethical behavior. Okay, all right. So if you just you just compliment your supervisor and it's maybe nothing happen to others, but if you take a credit for others project, then it will harm their uh, uh, it will harm others, so this is unethical. Okay, and the last one, okay, the question you should consider is that does the political activity conform to standards of equity and justice? Okay. Sometimes it is difficult to weigh the costs and benefits of political action. Okay, but it is ethicality is clear. Its ethicality is clear. Okay, the department head who inflates the performance evaluation of a favored employee and deflates the evaluation of a disfavored employee, and then use this evaluation to justify giving the former a big raise and the latter nothing. Okay, has treated the disfavored employee unfairly. Okay, so this means that this is unethical behavior. Okay. Okay, so politics, okay, is not just for politician only. Okay. Alright, so one of the most useful way to think about the power and politics in terms of our own career is you can ask is what are your ambitions? Who has the power to help you to achieve them? Okay, what is your relationship to these people? The best way to answer this question is with a political map. Okay, which can help you sketch out your relationship with the people on whom your career depends, right? So this diagram show example how to draw a political map. Okay, so okay, let's explain. Okay, assume that your future promotion depends on 5 people, including Jamie, immediate supervisor, as you can see in this diagram. So this is Jamie. Okay, you have a close, okay, so it's explained that you have a close relationship with Jamie, okay, close relationship. You also have a close relationship with Zach in finance, okay, close because this is both, so close relationship. However, with the others, you have either a loose relationship with Lane, okay, so Lane, and or none at all with Gia and Marty, okay. One obvious implication of this map is the need to formulate plan to gain more influence over and closer relationship with these people. How might you do this? Okay, right. So this is explained about power network. Okay, so assume these 5 individuals have all their own networks. Okay, in this case, the assume these aren't so much power networks like yours, as they are influence network of the people who influence individuals in power position. Okay, so you can see, okay, you can see what if you play. Okay, so one of the best way to influence people is indirectly. Okay, so what if you place in a tennis league with Mark? Okay, see, Mark, Jamie's former co-worker, who you know remains friends with Jamie. Okay, so Mark is not in this diagram, but influence Jamie, you play tennis with Mark. Okay, friends with Jamie. Okay, so to influence Mark, okay, you may also, okay, to influence Mark in many cases, you may also to influence Marty. Okay, in the right, so Marty. Right, so you can do analysis from this diagram. Okay, so what else? If you want to influence Jamie, so who else that you should influence? Right, so this is to help you to draw, to help you to do a political behavior. Okay, right. Okay, so last one is the implication of the manager. Okay, so based from this power, so what is the implication for manager? Okay, so to maximize the power, increase others dependence on you. Okay, so you want more power, so increase others depends on you. Right, so for instance, increase your power in relation to your boss by developing the needed knowledge or skill for which there is no ready substitute. Okay, you will not be alone in attempt to build your power bases. Okay, others, particularly employees and peers, will be seeking to increase your dependence on them while you are trying to minimize it and increase their dependence on you. Okay, so remember, not only you would like to increase the dependence on you, so others also. Right, so try to avoid putting others in a position where they feel they have no power at all. Okay, so avoid this. Right, so by assessing a behavior in a political framework, okay, you can better predict the actions of others and use the information to formulate the political strategies that will gain advantage for you and your work unit. Okay. Alright, so consider that employees who have poor political skills or are unwilling to play the politics game generally relate the perceived organizational politicals to lower job satisfaction and self-reported performance. It will increase the anxiety and higher turnover. Therefore, if you're adept at organizational politics, help your employees understand the importance of becoming a politically savvy. Okay, all right, so that's all for this chapter. Thank you.